You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
Good morning, Auburn family, and welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion on the E2C Network. Another W to talk about today. The pep in my step is getting more and more. I'm getting more and more excited. I don't really know how excited I should be after this one. Maybe really excited, maybe not so much, maybe kind of worried. I don't know. But that's what we're here to do. We're here to discuss the win over St. Louis, the first true road on-campus site. Victory for the Tigers as they go 10-1 as the Tigers prevail from 13 down to win at St. Louis 74-70. And to do it and to talk about it, I brought in my dad and co-host. Dad, how you doing?
I'm good. I was a little disturbed by the way that game was going.
Me too.
Especially for the first 10 minutes of the second half. And then we ran 11 straight high pick and rolls.
Ball screens, yeah.
And they couldn't guard it.
You're right.
So that ended the game just like that. So plus you got to play really good defense and get stops. Yeah. And we were doing that towards the end. So St. Louis is a good team, probably not a great team. But it's a quad one win, at least for now.
Yep.
So that's a good thing.
It's a quad one win, and you can't ask for any better to build up a tournament resume, especially right before SEC play. And, you know, this SEC is going to be a dogfight this year, and your Auburn Tigers may be one of the best.
Well, and I'm glad Bruce mentioned that he saw who had the chutzpah to play in a game when you're down.
Yeah.
And a lot of coaches that go through seasons where they blow everybody out and then they get into a tournament and they're in a dogfight, they lose.
Yeah.
So this was a game that he probably got their attention.
I agree. I think, you know, we're kind of just spitballing right now, but
I love him,
the technical foul that Bruce got, you think how much of a turning table that was in this game. And we've seen him do that in the past where he gets technical fouls, not just to get, but to get his team's attention and to wake them up and to tell them, all right, it's time to go. It's time to turn it off.
We talked about it when it happened. I said that technical's on purpose. Yeah. He didn't have to get that technical, but he did that. There's no doubt in my mind that he did that on purpose. He was not yelling at the officials. He was trying to get his team's attention.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
That's part of it.
But yeah, let's talk a little about the flow of the game. You know, it's a sloppy first 30 minutes for Auburn, and not especially towards the back half of that first 30 minutes, the beginning of the second half, where you're saying it was just not. Didn't really know what we were doing. Really struggling on the boards. Got out rebounded by 19 in a game that you won by 4 on the road. I mean, that's something that needs to be fixed and needs to be fixed ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely. Bruce said there are things that can get us beat. He said it on the pregame show. He said there are things that I don't know how he phrased it exactly, but there are things that can get us beat. And I'm not going to detail what they are. But after the game, he said, obviously rebounding is one that can get us beat. I'm sure they are working diligently on rebounding. And you're 7'1", 6'10", 6'9". You ought to be able to rebound. Rebound is more of as you know, is more of a desire thing than necessarily a height thing. So, but yeah, we were ahead by 8 at halftime. And at one point in the second half, we were down by 13.
Yeah.
That is a 21-point swing in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Coming
out of the locker room. I was a little disappointed coming out of the locker room. Thought we were better than that. We've been better than that.
Yeah.
Coming out to start the second halves of games. We just weren't. And the crowd was in it. Give them credit. Yeah. They had a good crowd there that were fired up.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get all the negative things out the way. Then we talk about a lot of the positives of, because Auburn did win this basketball game. We're out here, ranting on how bad the rebounds were. And I'm about to be very upset at 7 of 16 on layups. Most of them very easily makeable layups.
Yeah.
It's that can't happen.
No, you're being guarded, but you're always going to be guarded at that level of basketball when you're taking a layup. So we're not talking about layup line layups.
Yeah.
But we are talking about you're right there.
2 feet from the basket.
You're right at the basket.
Score.
And you're big enough, for the most part, to make those or to play through contact. And look, KD made a bad turnover late in that game, but then came down and took probably the hardest layup that we had all night.
Yeah.
And made it. I guess it was a layup. It was kind of more of a 6 foot fall away, but yeah. I think they would consider that a layup in the stats. And he banked that one in. So, but yeah, less than 50% on 2 feet away from the basket is not. That's another thing that's going to get us beat.
I know. Yeah, I completely agree. So now those are the two main negatives. Just sloppy start. You can't get out rebounded like that, especially when you're playing sloppy on the road and the beginning of the second half, especially. And then the layups, that cannot happen. Less than 50. They can't do that. But let's talk about the positives from this game, because Auburn did win. We won by 4. Let's talk about Walker Kessler for just a second. This dude combined for 33 points, 19 rebounds. In what?
9 blocks?
9 blocks over the last 2 games.
I think so, yeah.
He had 19, 9, and 4 tonight.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And he's the guy that Bruce called the play for when we were down 12.
Yeah.
And called him and Wendell in a high screen and roll. And he missed the first one. He got fouled. Mm-hmm. But he missed the first one. You could tell by his body language. He missed it. They called the foul, and he stood there facing the stanchion, and you could just see him go. I was that close. Mm-hmm. You could see him go. I know I can do this.
Yeah.
He made 1 or 2 free throws, and then the next 11 possessions, we ran the exact same play. It's a great play because we send Jabari on a fake on that screen. He rolls to the opposite corner. Mm-hmm. They bring Walker up. They run pick and roll. They move KD up to the wing. And then you've got Jabari in one corner and Lior in the other corner, who we're going to talk about in a minute as well. And let Wendell make a decision.
Yeah.
And he made some really good decisions. And Walker just kept dunking it.
Yeah.
And then they helped off of Jabari's man. And he hit 2 big threes.
And then they helped off of Lior.
And then they helped off of Lior's man. And he hit a big 3. So, it was Walker was fantastic.
Yeah.
Played well on the defensive end.
4 blocks.
Got some blocks. He got some rebounds. Had 9 rebounds. That's what you want from your big.
That's a third of our total rebounds.
All right, guys. We need other guys to step up. Come on, Jabari.
Yeah.
Need your rebound now, too. How many rebounds did Jabari have?
Jabari ended up with 4.
So that's 13.
And Cardwell ended up with 3.
That's 16.
And then Berman had 1. Jalen had 1. Cambridge had 2.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Jasper had 1. Those just kind of.
Yeah, so basically
Walker
and a little bit from Jabari. We need our guards to rebound. We need all 5 guys rebounding.
Yeah.
Especially when we play LSU in a week or 2.
They're big. They're big. Darius Days is still there, guys.
Yeah.
Still there.
Yep.
But let's talk about Wendell for a second. The past 3 games, and I saw a tweet from John Rothstein, I believe he's a CBS reporter for College Magazine, national basketball writer. Been really impressed with Wendell so far, and he sees that similarity that we've all been seeing, and he's the same number 1 as Jared was, and we saw it again tonight, making incredible decisions with the basketball, being trusted by Bruce to make the plays when needed, being able to shoot from anywhere he wants to, and being able to finish at the rim, make those circus passes like the one he made to Lior for the big 3.
Was a fantastic pass.
Or the one he made in the first half of back to Kessler when he was falling out of bounds.
Yeah,
he's the same player.
We stopped the game and rewound the pass to Kessler because I couldn't believe he threw that.
Yeah.
He had a guy open in the corner, but he threw a wraparound bullet to a cutting Kessler through the middle of the lane, who caught it and dunked it. It was so Wendell is the guy that you go, and when he pulls up, it's like Jared or Bryce.
Yeah.
When those guys would pull up from the logo, you go, I'm all right with that shot.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it was going to go in.
Yeah. Wendell with another breakout type of game. He scored 15, 8 assists, only 2 turnovers. He's being trusted with minutes coming off the bench, and as important as that's going to be, especially when we talk about somebody else that might be coming back on Wednesday. What do you do if you're Bruce right now? What do you do with I don't want to say KD struggling because he made a three, he didn't shoot the ball really well tonight, but he's as resilient as anybody I've ever watched on the basketball court, and he made the biggest shot of the day. I don't want to say KD has been struggling, but Wendell's been showing out more when he's coming off the bench. Do you keep him on the bench?
I think you either keep him or Zep on the bench to start the games. You start one of those two at the point.
Yeah.
I think KD, before this game, my thought was that you would take Flanagan and put him in for KD on the starting lineup because Dylan had been playing so well. Not Dylan, Devin Cambridge had been playing so well. And then this game, Devin just
struggled.
Was a no-show against St. Louis, and
he struggled.
And so I wonder, and it's all about practice. It's all about what happens at practice, but all we can see is what happens in the games. And if you put me in Bruce's position with what I've seen recently in the games, and we're not going to start Flanagan Wednesday night, he's going to get some minutes. But as we start looking at when he's going to get back into the starting lineup, I probably put him in for Devin.
Yeah. Okay. I could totally say that. I could probably agree with that. You've got to be able to find those minutes for Allen. And right now, people would say you take them away from Leor. I absolutely do not take those minutes away from Leor Berman. He had the best plus minus of plus 18 in the St. Louis game. He had one of the biggest shots of the game. He had that and one. He missed the free throw, but had that and one. It was his first trip ever to a free throw line, ever.
He's a guy that Bruce says that he trusts him. And if the head coach says that he trusts you, he proved it. We were both sitting there the other night when he was playing late, and both of us remarked, why is Leor still in the game?
Why? You've got options.
We've got so
Jalen
much on the sideline over there.
Chris Moore, you got Devin, you got Zep was on the bench. It was like
he was in the game in the clutch minutes.
Yeah.
He was in the game at the end.
Yeah.
And I think we said several podcasts ago, at least my thing is it's not who starts the game, it's who finishes the game. Leor Berman finished the game.
Yeah.
So coach has shown that he has a lot of faith in the kid from Mountain Brook who can fill it up from outside.
Yeah.
And you get past like you got from Wendell Green to that corner. You can't guard it.
Yeah.
Because everybody dove with Wendell thinking he was going to try to make a layup, which we're not very good at. And he passed it out to Leor, and Leor drained a big time shot.
It was big. It was big.
Big boy shot.
It was clutch.
Hey, Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
But let's talk about the news. I don't know if there's been any official news or but for the St. Louis game, Bruce said that if today was an NCAA tournament game or an SEC tournament game, if it was a tournament game where we needed our guys, Alan Flanagan would be playing.
Would have played.
He said that he's there.
He said that on the interview with Andy Bertram before the game. Yeah, I heard it and I was like, oh, did he really say that? And so I think you'll see him dressed out and playing. Yeah, I think they'll get him minutes against Murray State. When it first happened, I think I mentioned to you that maybe by St. Louis we would get him back. I was hoping we get him back for a couple of games before the conference season, but he's been practicing full contact.
Yeah, for about a week and a half now.
Time to come back and get him the minutes that he can get.
Look, when I was hearing all this stuff today about him returning and him playing minutes against Murray State on Wednesday, I went back and looked at some of the big plays he made last year. I'm like, okay, no, you add this guy, you add that guy to this team that we have right now with the personnel and the depth that you have right now. It's the best team in the SEC.
I think so. I think it's and he's not going to come back in that form against Murray State or maybe even against LSU. And it's going to take a little while for him to get used to playing with. These aren't guys he played with last year.
You're right. Yeah.
Only a few of them are. Yeah. And so he's got to get used to Wendell and Zepp and KD and Walker and Jabari. Yeah. And now he's playing with them in practice, but he needs some minutes Wednesday.
Yeah, I agree.
To just kind of get a feel of it and see what kind of shape he's in. Yeah. See how the Achilles handles it.
Yeah.
He's got to get to where he trusts it. Because when you have an injury like that, it takes a little while before you're willing to fully push off and cut. Oh, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how many minutes he gets Wednesday.
I'm excited about it. Now let's take our time to appreciate the kind of talent that Jabari Smith actually is. It's every podcast. Every podcast, we just have to take some time where we just look back and think like, okay, guys, we need to enjoy him while he's here because he's here for a year and he will go top 3 in the draft. I've seen a lot. Every recent one that I've seen, a big board
lots
draft.
Of stuff number 1.
Lots of say he's number 1. I know that kid from Duke and the kid from Gonzaga, and there's some other making some noise, but I think it's more about scheme fit. And everybody's like, well, everybody could use a Jabari Smith. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can use a Paulo Branchero, or not everybody can use a Chet Holmgren or a JD Davidson or anybody like that. Everybody could use the Jabari Smith.
6'10" guy who can make shots. Look, he only had 13 and wasn't very efficient, but what he does is they ran a play in the first half where he faked a back cut, which set up his defender so Walker could screen him. He caught the ball just inside the 3-pointer at the top of the key, took one dribble and rose up. And the guy you cannot guard Jabari any better than this guy did, had a hand in his face. And he drilled an 18-footer like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And then the threes in the second half in the corner, one was pretty open. The other one had a guy flying at him.
Yeah.
The guy with the pigtails was flying at him.
Yeah.
And he nothing but the bottom of the net. And he's 6'10". He's 6'10".
Yeah.
And he can move and is smooth. And yes, we have to bring Jabari up every podcast because
absolutely
you can't not appreciate what he's doing for this year and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just saw a post right before this recording. I saw a post on his Instagram. I'll try and pull it up real quick of him saying why he chose Auburn. And what I don't think people understand the significance of a guy like that posting something like this.
How many followers does a guy like that have? A bunch. He's doing something with Under Armour.
He is,
like a video series that's pretty cool. And I think that's where that quote comes from. I know he talked about family and it talked about where he could go by coming to Auburn. And he's a special player. He's just that guy that you need to always enjoy.
Yeah, the post I just got able to pull it up. It's a post of him holding up the Auburn basketball jersey that he's got on. He said, "I chose Auburn because of the culture, the family atmosphere, and what it means to play for Auburn. Every night I put on this jersey, I am playing for more than myself, and that's why I chose to come to this school and give it all every night."
He gives it all every night. He gives it all every 5:30 every morning.
Yeah.
He is a pro. And by the way, the ladies played this afternoon and won, and it was him and KD and Wendell in attendance. I've seen lots of pictures, people talking about how cool it is that Jabari Smith's coming to the girls' game to support them.
Yeah.
And they should be, I'm sure they're thrilled to death to get the kind of support that those three guys are giving them.
Absolutely. And you got to appreciate him. He's so special. But yeah, this Auburn team will be back in action on Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. in Auburn Arena against Murray State. Hopefully we see a little bit of Alan Flanagan, get to see a little bit more meshing together, maybe a little bit more of an efficient night than these past two or this past week. We also moved up to 12 in the AP poll. I encourage people not to care about the AP poll. It really does not mean anything. This Auburn team is the ranked 9th in the net and 12th in KenPom, and that's first in the SEC in both of those categories, even though we're the second SEC team ranked in the AP poll, actually the second team in the state, which doesn't make any sense.
But that's okay.
But that's fine. I'd encourage people, do not pay attention to that. That really does not mean anything.
So I'm looking a little bit at Murray State on their website. Obviously, they don't have Ja anymore, thank God.
Oh goodness!
Because we went and watched him play when he came to Auburn. He was a special player. Yeah. They've got a guard, last name Brown, averages 19 a game, plays 34 minutes. He's by far their best player. Then they got a 6'10" kid, last name Williams. Averages 16 and a half a game, plays 26 minutes. So he's their tallest guy, 6'10". Okay. They've got a couple guys 6'8", and a bunch of guys that are 6'6", 6'7". So it's not going to be the smallest team we played, but they're not going to have anybody as big as Kessler Jabari, and really Jabari. This kid is a center for them at 6'10".
Yeah.
So I fully expect us to go inside like we've been doing. I fully expect us to see how they handle high pick and rolls. Yeah, because I would until somebody stopped it. It's like Gus Malzahn.
Don't fix it. That's right.
Malzahn used to run the same play over and over again in football. In 2013, I think Malzahn ran 3 plays the whole season. Yeah, and that's what Bruce did Saturday night. Yeah. He just said, look, until you can stop my high screen and roll,
we're going to keep going.
We're going to run it. And if we lose, we lose. But I don't think we will. And 11 straight times down the court, he ran it.
That's right.
It's a great call.
It's a great call. It was working.
They're 10-1 also. They just beat Chattanooga, my alma mater. Beat them by 11. They're going to be good. This is not a pushover game. This is another one. That'll be probably just as good, if not better, than St. Louis. Thank goodness it's at home. I hope the Auburn crowd will show up Wednesday afternoon. It's a 5 p.m. 5 o'clock game. So go out, enjoy the game, get some hot dogs for dinner, and cheer on the Auburn Tigers.
We will be back to discuss that game. I believe right after, we'll try and get one out on Friday, maybe Christmas Eve, maybe a little bit before that. If we don't get to see y'all, I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Spend the time with your friends and family and enjoy some Auburn basketball while you got it.
Remember the true reason for Christmas.
That's right. Mm-hmm. But we'll be back to discuss this Murray State game right after. You can go ahead and do what you do after at the end of every podcast.
Well, I always am tweeting during the game, and after the game, I always ask for players of the game. I don't think we've done that yet. My player of the games was Walker Kessler. You want to give your player of the game before I?
Yeah. I'll go Wendell.
It's a good one.
It's one of those two. I'm glad we have the two of us, because if I had to choose between just one, I don't know if I could, because both of them did the difference in us winning and losing.
Yeah, that was the high screen combination. So anyway, you can reach out to me at IamCTO on Twitter, and I'll tweet during the games and talk back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what it's there for.
Yeah, or you can reach me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg or on Instagram at GrayO21.
E2C Network.
E2C Network. Yes, the Twitter for E2C Network is E2C_network. The network, love Kyle, love all the guys that do all the stuff at E2C, and we'll be back to discuss Murray State.
If you can find a sport that Auburn competes in that there's not a podcast on, you're doing better than me, because they've got podcasts for every sport that Auburn does. So if you love basketball but you have another favorite sport, get on E2C and see if you can't find a podcast about it.
That's right. All right, we'll be back, and until next time, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.